All right. Today we're coming together. It's me, Cody Bakewell. I got Corey Zimmerman and Collin Klein. And we have a very interesting topic tonight. I've been saving it. I have been asking Collin not to tell me about it so that way I can get a fresh view of it. So go ahead, Collin. What do we got going here? Something involving NATO and CIA.
So I've been wanting to talk about this for a while regarding Operation Gladio, and because it's a pinhole into the overarching control structure of nation states, the financial system, crime, and believe it or not, religion. It kind of ties the whole operating system of our planet together. Was leaked. Hang on, let me get my notes here. It was leaked. It wasn't even really leaked. It was discussed openly by the Italian Prime Minister, Giulio Andreotti.
I'm not saying that name.
Me either. Anyway, he was the prime minister, and he openly talked about it during a discussion in the Italian parliament that Operation Gladio was a NATO/CIA run operation that basically created stay-behind networks in Italy post-World War II. And when we say stay-behind networks, we're talking about, we have to go back to the Nazis during the fall of the Nazi regime, that they, when you're retreating, you want to have a controlled and managed retreat. So what do? You start laying landmines, you start getting weapon caches, you start getting operatives to, put on civvies, civilian clothes and blend back in to cause havoc and chaos and disruption whenever the Russians or the West came back in. So Reinhard Gehlen was the manager of that operation for the Nazis. Basically what happened was during Operation Paperclip, which everyone should know about by now, is when we transferred the Nazis over here, Reinhard Gehlen gave Alan Dulles basically the keys to that old Nazi network. Now, the reason this matters is because what you're seeing in Ukraine, in Venezuela, and anywhere where you see organized mafia activity that's allowed to operate, it all ties back to this event. The intelligence agencies, once the world was consolidated into a globalization model, NATO, EU, UN, global treaties, etc. That is when all the NATO countries established during the World War II process their own central intelligence agencies. Now, what is a central intelligence? It basically, if you think of a government as a computer system, it is the ultimate gatekeeper. It decides what information goes where so that certain people react and behave a certain way. Who benefits the most from access to intelligence? Well, people in finance. That's really anyone that deals in finance. The way people really make their money is knowing things way ahead of time and knowing where to place your bets. That's all finance really is. And once these apparatuses were set up throughout the countries, now they had interlocutory legal means of communicating with each other. And because there was a global hegemon managed through the United States, we kind of had general oversight and connection to all of them. And that's when you bring in NSA, a total dragnet surveillance system through the internet came out of DARPA. The internet was designed as a surveillance information gathering tool. I mean, we think of it as a useful device for us plebeians, but really it was designed as a dragnet, a total dragnet global surveillance system. Now, any questions so far, or should I keep going?
But they wouldn't have predicted how big of a dragnet it was going to be. Today is huge data mining information. It's just unbelievable huge.
It's hard to say who saw or foresaw what. I'm not going to go there because that gets into more dark corners. I would say, I don't think anyone probably understood exactly what the internet looked like. I think they had a general conception and an idea. And you're talking about transferring the old world style of management to this. And they were like, I mean, in the old world, it was the civilians knew nothing. They go to work, they get up, go to school, blah, 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 live their life, and they die. And
Well,
you
that's
just
how they
kind of,
wanted it. They wanted
yeah,
you to
that's
just
how it's
be
always been.
worker bees.
It's how it is today. It's how it, yeah. It's just now what I think has happened with the internet is it's backfired because enough people have started using it to, the internet can be a mirror, but once you realize it's a two-way mirror, you just turn the lights off and you can see through it and you're like, oh, who are you? Oh,
It's more like Pandora's box is what I always thought.
Big time. It's like but yeah, it's opened up potentiality for anything. And this is our moment in time to use it as a tool to surveil them. And that's really what this is all about so Gladio is the official event of which governments sanctioned intelligence apparatuses to put in basically criminal stay behind networks in every single country under NATO control post World War II. Those entities were basically kind of cut off. There was still some trickle of funding, but they were basically trained and taught how to operate using black markets. And what is the best black market in the modern world since World War II? It's the drug trade. And drugs is all off the books, but people think about, well, it's not really. It's because how does all that money get cleared? It's trillions of dollars, right? How does that money get reshuffled back into the system? What good is money if it can't reintegrate into the system to buy things or to get refinancing or to buy assets or to hide it? You need clearinghouses. Enter the offshore banking system. The Cayman
and
Islands.
now also the Chinese, because they have becoming the clearinghouse the last 10, 20 years, because they offered the very lowest rate of exchange.
Yeah, they're trying to attract. They're making a move to become the new financial network for the planet. And it's kind of shocking for me to see because I've been watching them this whole time, and when I saw the video of those ghost cities, that blew my mind. Of
ghost cities over in China and all that stuff.
Yeah,
which one?
Because it's like for the population, real estate is the last asset that we ostensibly are allowed to own that retains value besides precious metals, but that's all been controlled. The pricing on gold is just now starting to get back to a realistic price level.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is I don't know. I have like weird hobbies. I guess I like watch weird things. The market here in New Mexico is crashing as far as housing market is starting to crash again.
I mean, the commercial real estate market has been crashing for years. It's just no one talks about.
I'm not talking about commercial. I'm talking about houses.
I know, but commercial is what leverages the bank, like the loan. That was prime asset your holdings. But when commercial starts falling, residential it's first commercial, then it's residential almost every time. It'd be weird if it was the inverse. That wouldn't make much sense. That would be like a war would have to happen or something crazy.
And Trump's trying to change that by lowering the interest rates so that people that don't have as much money, they can get into housing, because if we don't fill those houses and the market pops.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's it.
I get that 50-year mortgage is, have you seen that? They're floating a 50-year mortgage.
50-year mortgage.
50-year mortgage. That scares me, but also I know how bad things are. It actually might be one of the only ways out, to be honest.
Well, but do you know how much you will never have equity in the house when you go to sell it?
But you will have a house.
No one owns a home. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. How can you? That's been my thing. Is how can you own the home if you pay taxes on it into infinitum?
That's not even what I mean. I'm saying most people my generation, I'm like wealthy compared to them, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I technically own a home, but most people are in my age are in apartments. People are in double wides. People are in mobile homes. We're in a depression.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
well, here it is. Even the rich, they don't own them too. They're mortgaged to the hilt.
Yes. Yeah, because it's cheap money. You just pay interest payments and cash flow it, and that's it.
Mhm.
You just got to know when to get out. So,
Man, I got in, I bought my house at 100,000. I sold it for 195,000. And I only owed 80 on it when I sold my house up in Rio Rancho.
the problem is now that home prices, my house went from, I spent 235 to build it. The lot cost 12 because it was a rinky-dink lot that no one wanted and no one knew how to build. I built kind of a weird house on it, but built it very tall. And no one's a custom builder anymore, especially for something this size, because it wouldn't. But right now it's probably around 430 is what, I mean, I'm being charged as if it's 430, like on my property taxes. No one's going to buy it for 430 right now. Maybe a bank, I guess.
For Californians.
Well, for Californians, your house is probably $750,000 house in California.
Yeah, I mean, my house is pretty cool. I might get lucky and be able to sell it, but most people are not going to be able to sell their houses that were built in the 80s and 90s, and they're all being priced at 420 or 410.
I told
all
my
around
wife,
here.
don't sell this house. We have a house. It's small. Cody's been there. I've been to my house, and it's small, and it's not much.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's now $400,000 to $500,000 right there. Yeah, this place, it's going up, but here it is. What bought it at, right, and what we owe is very low. And so by the time we're 55, we'll own it. Yet you don't want to sell it. You want to hold on to that asset. If you're not going to live there, you stick someone else in there to rent or something like that, because buy a different house, you're paying that $400,000 to $500,000 to $600,000, where before you spent what, $270,000. This is like a $150,000 house that's now $250,000.
Yeah, I'm not here's the trap I think that's been set is, I don't know. Here's the problem. You sell your house, now what? You got to go buy another.
Well, that's the problem I came across. Is like, I sold my house. I walked
sell high,
away
you buy
with,
high.
Well, yeah, but the problem is when you have $50,000 sitting in the bank, how do you hold on to it? I mean, that becomes a problem solver everywhere. And now it's all gone.
Precious metals.
So now we don't have.
Unfortunately, that's where we're at. I can't believe I'm saying that. I am not a gold bug guy, but that's literally the only asset that I don't see depreciating anytime soon, because it's been so undervalued for decades artificially.
By what? Gold,
silver, copper, whatever.
Rare metals. Yeah.
Yeah, not paper. Like the paper markets are so crazy.
Like actual coins and metals and stuff. Yeah.
You can buy those. I got a friend that's doing that. But here it is. You go back to destabilization. That's what these people did. They destabilized countries and all kinds of stuff. And it seems like we are still seeing the destabilization of other countries, our country. And so it seems like it ties into today's society that didn't stop in World War 1840s, the Cold War. We just learned about it in 1990.
Keep going. Finish your thought. I have a short clip to play off of that.
And they're thinking that a lot of the bombings and all that kind of stuff in Italy were still part of that plan by United States, by British.
And all the terrorism against the Jewish populations in Europe post-World War II. There were a lot of bombings targeting synagogues, weirdly, just out of nowhere. Well, not really. I mean, there was the whole Holocaust, and then that was advertised as an excuse to relocate Jews to the Levant. It really wasn't as much World War II, although that was the triggering mechanism. It was the subsequent, once they got control of the propaganda machine of all these countries, they started throwing like, hey, look, synagogues are being bombed. And they were by these stay-behind networks. And it's got really nothing to do with Jews. They're just used as bullet sponges to get a foothold near the Suez Canal to make sure the Persians don't get back in control.
Yeah. And then someone made a ton of money because they knew where everything was going, the direction, just kind of like a Nancy Pelosi.
Yep.
No, they know what's behind the curtain.
I was like, NVIDIA? Really? Why? Why NVIDIA?
Yeah.
Like, I
And
thought
why
they
is
did
this
GPUs
guy?
and graphic cards, and oh my gosh, I was like, wow, okay, I was wrong about that. Holy crap. $5 trillion
Yeah.
in
And the guy, I
valuation.
can't remember his name. He said it was
Jensen Huang.
overvalued. I mean, he goes, I'm gonna hit him. And so he did. And so they took a huge hit. Another big corporation or something like that also pulled out money from NVIDIA.
This just happened. I didn't see that.
Yeah, about today or yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like once
again.
that $5 trillion article went out, I think like that was the signal. It's like, okay, everyone pull their money. Like that bubble is, and everyone's been advertising this AI bubble. Like they're openly talking about it on MSNBC. I'm like, you guys are openly talking about bubbles. I don't know whether to be scared or optimistic.
They want we've been due for a collapse for
100%, but they don't ever like openly talk about it like that.
But anything to screw it. And I'm not saying that I'm a naysayer or whatever, but it's just whatever they can get traction on to go after Trump with and ruin something for Trump. But they're going to do it.
You bring in the Trump. So Trump told NVIDIA, don't sell to China. I think
just
it was
the high
last
end,
week.
Just the high end chips.
Yeah. And so they can't get the high end stuff, so we can be ahead. Pretty smart. And then all of a sudden, and then after that, they're getting hit pretty hard. I wonder if he never said that, never came out, maybe behind closed doors or stuff like that, closed door conversation, would they have taken this huge hit? And it's a future market because they are betting that NVIDIA will tank. And if they tank, they're going to make a crap load of money. Yet, if they don't tank, they lose a lot of money. Futures, this one guy was telling me about futures because he got into it and that kind of stuff. And he goes, you can lose everything on futures, or you can make crap load of money, but yet you have to know behind the curtain what's happening.
Exactly. You have to be able to be a fortune teller. You have to have access to intelligence.
Yep.
I'm telling you right
now,
know
when the levers are going to be pushed.
I bet a lot of money on war, and I've made a lot of money with my stocks.
Yeah, Raytheon's a safe bet.
Yeah, I bought Raytheon.
Yeah.
I bought it at 90.
Wow, that's pretty good.
What is it today? Let's see. No, I mean it's all racket, man. It's all racket.
The whole thing. Yeah. 100%. And of course it is. It's like I'm kind of annoyed with, I mean, I'm 33. I don't have that much. I mean, I got a fair amount of life experience for a 33-year-old. For a 33-year-old, okay? Like and I knew politics was a scam. I just knew it was gangsters from the beginning. I'm like, oh, these are gangsters. Like, this is gangland warfare. And I could tell just from watching the media and everyone, but everyone was so emotionally engaged with the whole thing. I was just like, I'm not like, why would I pay attention to these people? They're clearly all liars. Like, there's no good sides.
You said that before. You said that before. It's not
But what's changed now is when they started hitting, like when it's like, okay, now it's like, it's you are now openly attacking my people, my family, through psychological warfare and manipulation. So this is like, we either just continue to stand back or we engage. Anyway, that's a side point to what you were talking about, but that's why I'm interested in this. And and I think it's essential for humanity as a whole. Whoever may hear this, you've got to understand this if you want to survive. Like, and I don't have all the answers. No one really does. We're trying to piece this all together, but understanding that it is a racket is a great first step.
Oh yeah. So when you talk about, looking behind the curtain, there's this book, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, and people have this from that book that was just Crazy, right?
I did not know. I did not see you going there. Okay, go, dude, go.
You like that? Yeah.
Bro.
What book was it?
And it's like Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey. It's basically time travel.
Uh-huh.
And it
That
was
isn't that his book was
published in
written back in the
1893.
Yeah.
1893 by Ingersoll
Yeah.
Lockwood, right?
Do you
And
think that
so-
Donald Trump named his son Barron on accident, or was it mimicry?
Dude, I don't.
We don't know.
Man,
But if
I was
this
just
was true,
hearing
that he
about the-
did try time
Yeah.
travel, right? He did use, what is that guy's name that discovered a bunch of stuff, and that his grandfather, Trump's grandfather, said that none
His
of the
uncle.
stuff was, uncle, that's right.
Uncle John, amazing. He was the best. He was the top of MIT. He knew all the nuclear secrets. We have amazing weapons. You
Yeah.
wouldn't believe it.
Yeah. And so, people are like, did he try time travel? Is this whole thing time travel? How does he know so much, and how does he do so well? And did he have a peek behind the curtain? That was kind of the question that was coming out. That is, from this this book that didn't get really circulated, but it popped up because, like, oh wait, Aaron? What? Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting connection, yet is unsubstantiated, just conjectures. But it's fun conjectures, though.
I'm trying to find an art piece. I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute. There was an old art collection that came public. I think it was 10 years ago or something, and there was basically this club. We got to do a whole episode on this. But it was basically a club. It was like an aeronautic club back in the 1800s. You know what I'm talking about, Corey? If you know about the time travel, you got to know about this.
Yeah.
That art with the Zeppelin, the air machine that has Trump emblazoned on the side of it, that was made back in the 1800s. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where it is, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just one of those things that's like, it's Deng Xiao. That's the name of the guy. When you look at the aerospace connection to JFK and everything we've been talking about, what's the unknown in the world? Like if you're running a Ponzi scheme, above and below, right? So if you start getting access to the air, well, now you just became an amazing gatekeeper, because who gets access to space? This is where all the conspiracy theories come from in regarding space. Is no one has any firsthand knowledge besides a bunch of government operatives, basically. We just have to take their word for it.
Pretty elite club, yeah.
Yeah, or under the sea, it's a bunch of movie directors for some reason. Government operatives, same thing, because no one can afford to go below or above. So they control the high ground and the low ground. Or maybe it's the same thing. Who knows?
Yeah, and all we're left is in the middle.
Right. We just got to look up and down and just take their word for it. And so this whole UFO thing that's what I think. That's what I suspect it really is. You heard Tucker talk about that, what he thinks it is on Sean Ryan. It's like the last time he talked about it,
He thought it was.
he said that he basically thinks there's spiritual entities that have been here for a long time. And I honestly have lost interest, and I kind of get it. Like, he said it very, like, kind of annoyed. Almost like he's realized that this is a scam, but it's so crazy of a scam that it's like, and we don't have any firsthand evidence or knowledge. That's why it's a perfect narrative to roll out. You could run whatever cosmology, and you can synchronize religions this way. You can break apart old cosmologies and what people used to think. Be like, the space gods are going to come and tell us how to behave.
And then where is the money going to go?
But religion talks about aliens and stuff.
Aliens? Or does it talk about the good and the evil, angels, demons?
I can't remember. My dad always talked about, I asked him once if he believed in aliens, and he says it says in the Bible that we're being watched by other worlds. I've never really looked for it, but
I think that is in Ellen White.
is that his? Okay, that makes more sense.
There is other planets, other worlds, according to different.
There's old Enoch hanging out on the rings of Saturn or wherever, Jupiter or whatever. Yeah, that's what something that just, yeah, there's something to, it's not that it's all wrong, but Seventh-day Adventism, when you really understand Masonry and you read like the cosmology, especially when it comes to space, the Seventh-day Adventism, it's like this. It's like the same thing. It's crazy. And it's not just Seventh-day Adventists. It's anything that's spun out of the Second Great American Awakening, of the successful branches that really got instituted and especially got government contracts, which Adventism clearly like was all, the military was all over the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Yeah. It was a
Really?
great,
I didn't know that. I hadn't heard
my
that.
God. Kellogg
Oh yeah, Kellogg, yeah.
and food
Right.
supply and all that stuff. Again, it's not like it's all bad. There's, as far as I've come to realize, there's no organized religious system that hasn't been corrupted. Not a single one. Because of course it's basically a corporation of spiritualism. Of course it's going to get corrupted. It's the first thing that the devil's going to target. It's easy to corrupt a corporation that's a bodiless entity with no willpower, singular willpower, right?
Yeah, it's
So,
motivated by power, control,
in
money.
self-preservation, it's got to preserve itself.
Yeah,
So,
somehow, some way.
Yeah, somehow, yeah, and it always does, because consciousness of leadership transfers, and you're just hoping everyone is not corrupt. That's okay. Good luck with that. No one's figured that one out yet, how to beat that. So there's some pretty old institutions in this planet. So
Yeah, there is really old
I'm sorry, I've
institutions.
had a runny nose for the last couple days, so I had to
Alright.
blow my nose.
Well, I'm glad you're sick over there, not here.
I didn't get sick until I saw you. I'm starting to
So
link this up.
that actually does lead into a quick side note regarding Gladio and the Vatican.
Roll it.
So you guys remember kind of a part of the story of Pope John Paul II, who was shot, or they tried to kill him? So those were gray wolf. Well, so every country had a different code name for its stay behind network that was built into it as like basically useful idiots that'll go and conduct terrorism or criminal activity on behalf of state powers. So Operation Gladio is actually the code name for Italy. Gladius,
Okay.
Gladio. Okay,
Yeah.
so
That makes sense.
that was the Italian version. Well, what also is in Italy? It's Rome. You know, that's like, and you know the John Wick movies where there's a lot of religious overt and undertones in it. Well, and it's tied to assassins and the underworld and the mob. It's like, and there's always been that weird connection between the big, like, you know, Catholicism, if you're the Cosa Nostra, or if you're in the Russian Mafia, or the Eastern European, the Russian Orthodox Church. There's a crazy book about when the Soviet Union fell apart. There's a book written about and tracked down, I forgot the name of it, I'll have to look it up, but it's basically shows how the Russian Orthodox Church, the hierarchy, took control of Russia's nuclear arsenal during the political transition, which also begs the question, which, you know, one, politically, that could fly with whoever goes with it. It's like, yeah, let's give it to, you know, the bishops and the fathers that actually, you know, want to keep their whole thing. You know, that's a safe pair of hands, to say the least. So that's probably the best option. It actually makes sense. But it's kind of like, wow, really, the church took control of weapon. Well, who's to say they ever let up? Have you ever seen that church, the new cathedral they built just kind of right before the Ukraine war kicked off in Russia? It's an amazing, it's very beautiful, but the floor is made of the molten steel of German rifles. It's a church. It's like the church. It's devoted to the military of Russia, basically. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so the Russian church has given clearance for the state to do what it needs to do. That's the signal that it sent to me. It's a beautiful cathedral, but it's like, it's the newest one in Russia, the biggest one, and one of the biggest ones. but that was a big deal. The Vatican, it's the same thing. Their ties to their mob and to the Italian, Sicilian, Corsican mafias, the Western mafias in general, are legion. And when you're tied to the mafia, you're tied to intelligence.
Here's a quick caveat to this. I was taking a class on Catholicism, starting from like 90 AD all the way up. And then I think it was the 1300s, about 3 or 4 Italian guys basically wrote these fake documents saying that the church land and all that kind of stuff is non-taxed, and the local what do you want to call them, the barons and all that kind of stuff, they couldn't refute it, and so it became law. And so that's how they became this entity where they didn't have to pay taxes and stuff. And it was the Italians.
Yep. The Romans.
Smart man.
Yep.
Smart man.
The Venetians. Yep. I mean, we're dealing with old systems that have been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Very old systems.
Yeah. And so going back to what you were talking about, right? Oh, whoa.
That was the consecration of the church when it opened. Had representatives, all the armed forces of Russia, and that metal floor. Yeah, it's all melted down Nazi rifles, basically. So
they
they
still
went
have that
all
many
out.
left over.
Look at that art.
I mean, they killed millions of them. I'm sure they collected everything they could, especially back then. No, you should take a virtual tour of that church. It's unbelievably, it is amazing, but it clearly has military overtones, and it's like the Russian Orthodox Church basically just sanctioned Russia committing itself to survival. That's what that signaled to me, and that means full commitment. And we don't have that over here at all. We got everyone saying, open your borders up in the Vatican. Like, I'm still talking with Catholics today, and they're like, no, he's American. He's base. He's a base pope. I'm like, he blessed an ice cube last week. Like, what are you talking about for climate change? You people are insane.
Who blessed an ice cube?
The Pope blessed an ice cube because to remember, or in memorial of the horrors of climate change. It's honestly unbelievable. You kind of have to see it to believe it.
Some of the things that I've researched on some of these popes and stuff like that, it's like, oh my goodness. Is there any legitimate line off the, I can't remember which pope it was that got.
Well, a couple have been assassinated.
Popes?
So
how do you bless an ice cube like that?
He's doing, it's like basically, a ritual of blessing the waters, but they did it specifically for climate justice conference.
That's a weird background sound to that.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Lord of life, bless this water. May it awaken our hearts, cleanse our indifference, soothe our grief, and renew our hope through Christ our Lord.
Amen. So,
man, you heard that too, right? The breathing?
Well, it was whoever was filming it. I mean, I don't know. The main point was he blessed an ice cube for climate change. So that's kind of
huge ice cube right there.
It's a very nice ice cube. I'll give him that. They didn't.
They
just
took
get
time. I didn't see too much bubbles in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Took some time. Yeah.
It's a big old chunk. They didn't get a little thing. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
It's nice to see they took their time to find the right ice cube.
I mean, I could keep going, but I don't want to beat a dead horse here. We got the P2 Lodge that comes out of the Vatican.
The what?
The P2 Lodge. That's like the Aleister Crowley P2 Lodge that started in Italy. That was like the Italian Masonic Lodge, or the highest level one that was tied to the Vatican that we know of. Opus Dei, CIA connections. John Paul II was an anti-communist. He was, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So, I mean, they were like, that's when the Catholic Church got political openly. They were like, communism's a scourge. We need to defeat it. And they used their clerics, their priests, to go out and actually be agents of influence in the Eastern Bloc for Christ, of course, not the CIA.
For the church.
Yeah, for the church. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Because, I mean, who's the better? I mean, priests are amazing spies, especially when you get everyone buying into a thing called confession.
Well, and then when, yeah, they kind of know what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah, they kind of
don't
know everything that's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at it like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been in those situations where people had to, they had to. I'm like, you don't really have to tell me anything. We know I need to do confession. I was like, all right.
I
And
understand
I've heard
that
some
impulse.
wild things.
I understand that impulse, and it's important to say it out loud. Like, I get that, but if you're tied to intelligence, that's kind of maybe don't tell. I mean, if you're just a plebeian, then it doesn't really matter. They don't really care. But if you're someone, you know, of high station or a child that's brought up in the system that doesn't know how it all works and doesn't know to keep your mouth shut, but you're in the Catholic Church and father, you know, I've sent, you know, and then like, well, what has your dad been doing lately? Or what is your mom? You know, it's like, and it's not all
Leading
of
the
them.
confession.
Yeah, but it creates the environment for, I mean, to me, the Catholic Church was always an outflow of the Roman Empire, and the way they consolidated their power was through basically transferring to the banking system that came out of Venice in cooperation with the intelligence mechanisms built into the Catholic Church. It was the only network in the Western world that would have had that interoperability.
Yeah.
Who else would have been able to do that or coordinate between? And what's the classic problem? Kings versus popes, you know? That's an old problem. That's always been a problem. I mean, the English church didn't split for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
it
you want to
wasn't
be pope, or I'm pope now. How about that? How about them
Yeah.
apples? That's what that was
The
all
Tudors.
about. Yeah, it was just power moves. Like,
Kicked
I'm
them
done
out.
playing this game. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be married to Anne Boleyn. Kill her. I'm going to become my own pope.
It had more to do with getting rid of the Catholic influence that was working itself in to the English nation. It's really what more. That was a schism between that was the English crown saying, here's how serious we are. Cut my own wife's head off. How about that?
Yeah.
What?
I don't need you guys' permission, okay?
Yeah, that was a declaration of war.
We kicked the Romans out of England before, and now you're gone again.
Yep.
What are you going to do now?
Well, they bided their time and came back and got Cromwell to cut Charles I's head off.
Yeah.
And they consolidated, and
Yeah, and they speak into the ears of the king and the queen and parliament and everyone else.
They brought the Prince of Orange from the Netherlands, the Dutch, to come and take over the English crown. And that was always under control of the Venetian banking system that's tied to the Roman system.
You know, Collin, I'm getting proud of you. It's 43 minutes before you mention the Dutch, and we're going further and further here.
Just till the point gets driven home. It's funny to me because I like talking about it because everyone wants to blame the Jews for everything or some other people group. I'm like, well, how about this? How about the Dutch? How about we? Because they're like the last you would ever think of. So it's kind of funny to me.
That's how good they are.
They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah. That diverting attention.
We just wear our little shoes, our little wooden shoes, and the windmills. And yeah, no.
We have the windmills. Don't worry about it. You know, we have our bulbs for our plants. Don't worry about it.
Have you looked into the tulip thing?
Yeah.
Like that was a Ponzi scheme.
No.
Yeah. People sold all their stuff for tulip.
It was a PsyOp. It literally was run as like, well, tulips are now running this high, and it was a safe haven asset. It was like a version of crypto.
No.
They artificially jacked up the prices so everyone was chasing it, and then they just crashed the market and took all the loot. That's all it was. It was a smash and grab.
The thing that scared everyone is the only thing since the tulip that went up that high that fast is crypto. And it was freaking a lot of historians out.
Yep. And Bitcoin, I've always sensed that the Chinese were highly connected. It was a combination of our intelligence services, but Martin Armstrong, he was in prison for almost I think it was 7 years. There's actually a movie about him coming out soon. And I don't know if I trust him specifically, but they did put him in prison for a long time. And he's only in the last several years started coming out and talking. And his understanding of the world jives with what my understanding is. I tend to listen to it, but he basically was like, Bitcoin is a money laundering operation, which you look around, it's it's just a way to get money out of countries. And just, that's all it is, basically. That's why it's so high. It's like the Chinese actually had to come in and cut off all their banks from allowing that to happen because it was just getting too out of control. Now, whether or not they actually did that, I don't know, but that was a story that was put out. But
if they crash that, could you imagine what the world was gonna?
Well, the problem is if they crash it, a part of the problem is everyone's going to distrust digital systems. Like, why would you ever trust these people ever again if they crash that? It has to be it has to make sense. There has to be a good narrative or story. So the only thing I can think of is a global crash, which, I mean, my God, they're
It's
doing
a global
everything.
banking system.
Yeah, I mean, they're advertising it so strongly. It's almost like I'm like, okay, is it not
Great
going to
Reset?
happen?
Yeah, the Great Reset.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I
That's,
also wonder.
you know,
so
I like Glenn Beck books, but I have to say the Great Reset book he wrote was pretty damn boring. I mean, it was like
Glenn, I can't tell if he's stupid or if he's doing this on purpose. I don't know, because he's not dumb, but he's very incurious about certain things. He's gotten a lot better, but
well, Agenda 21, that was a scary book. When he started writing about the book about the Agenda 21, that was pretty interesting.
yeah, I mean, you can just go to the UN website and read about that. They'll tell you straight to your face what
He
they're
wrote
doing.
a book that was all based on what they were trying to do, and it's called Agenda 21, and that he puts it all into, yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. And then the other one that he wrote was The Overton Window. That was a pretty interesting book. And then the sequel to that's crazy. You know how they basically make all these tragedies to get to push people in directions and stuff. And then there's 3 books that have similar themes that I've read that make you really wonder. And that's the Atlas Shrugged, and then the Overton Window, and I think the third one is the Isle of Moloch. I think it is the third book, or
You
the
wrote
second
that?
book. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Huh. Hang on
I
here.
am Moloch.
Yeah, let's
Was it
see.
Moloch
Overton Window.
He's a demon
Yeah.
of energy transference, sacrifice. Basically,
Trying to remember. German, eh?
Yeah, where is it? Huh. Okay, interesting. It's not showing up.
It's actually the book, The Overton Window by Glenn Beck, is pretty good. I really liked it.
I'm trying to show you. Here we go. Maybe this is it. Yeah, I think I got it.
Yeah, Eye of Moloch is the sequel.
Here it is. So you see this. You've probably seen this badge on a lot of people that are in institutions.
No, what is
like
this?
Bill Gates, and you haven't seen that people wearing that pin, Sustainable Development
Oh,
Goal
I've seen
pin?
that pin. Yeah.
Yeah. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable, clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industrial innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, fish, life on land, peace, justice, strong institutions, partnership for the goals. So that's the religion they give to the secularists that just don't have a moral compass. So this is now their Bible of good things, right? That you can sell, especially to, I don't know, students in college. So, but then when you get into the subplots of how they want to reach all those things, that's where you get viruses, climate lockdowns, or economic lockdowns, or all the gender ideology we see. It's the point of it is we want to control the outcomes for all these events, which means total control. And it was kind of their mission statement to get all their underlings that don't to get on board, because you just have to tell them what to do and they'll do it. I mean, look at teachers. If you want a good case study example of somebody that's been programmed with this is your every teacher that's still in public school, this is their religion pretty much. Because all the self, like, I mean, you can't be a free thinking person and be a teacher in public school unless you're a Spartan of willpower at this point, or a coach and you don't care, like one of those things.
I was talking to one of the therapists today that came to the house, and she was talking about she's in a racism class, a class studying racism and how, or like racism and what is it? Like discrimination, I guess. It's a class on discrimination. And she was asking me my thoughts on like chauvinism, like, opening doors for women and, doing all that stuff. And her professor is trying to convince her that chauvinism is a form of discrimination.
It is. And it's good.
And I'm sitting
Discrimination's
there
a good thing.
So I'm like, so you're telling me that now being a nice guy and offering to pick up a book or carry something heavy for you is now discriminating? I mean, like, and I told her, you got to start wondering how they can make everything about discrimination. How I'm like, being a nice guy is now discrimination. What the hell is going on here? Man, it's just mind blowing that how they figured out how to brainwash these kids and the nice gestures.
I actually like this a little bit. Go ahead, Corey. My bad.
So when you're looking at this, a lot more women are saying, okay, I think you guys are lying to me because we are not happy. We are angry, upset, we're childless, we're familyless, we're husbandless, we are alone, even though we're going out and spending money on this and that, even the facade of happiness. But the majority of them are unhappy. They're angry because they misspent their life. So they're going back to
Feminism.
We were wrong. Feminism was wrong. If you go back to what it was built to get a part of the society that wasn't paying any taxes and all that kind of stuff to start paying taxes. That was one of the clear-cut, things for that. And so people started coming back, especially women are starting saying, I don't like this. And they want to go back to this ideology of men opening up doors, of all these different niceties that were pre-1930s and
No,
the
it was,
industrial age.
It was
60s. Yeah.
like 60s and the 70s. Yeah.
But
that
I mean,
modern
definitely.
It started way before then, though.
It did. I would say Woodrow Wilson was probably the biggest bellwether of that transition. The World War I generation is when globalization as a project kicked off.
And that's when we really started getting away from the Monroe Doctrine, too. You notice that?
Yeah, globalization.
Yeah, the United States, when we were going after Pancho Villa and all that other stuff, we were really controlling our own hemisphere. And then Woodrow Wilson put us on the track to going over and fighting European wars. And then until that point, we hadn't gone and fought any European wars. We fought against European powers. We never fought in any European wars.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I the only one?
Sent all of our men all to the European frontier and all that kind of stuff to fight. And what was left? Women to start building planes and all that kind of stuff.
That's why people go ahead.
And did they want to do that? No.
My Exactly. Yeah. It's like we look at people focus on communism all the time. I almost wonder, I mean, this communism fascism thing is, I think, another level of a PsyOp, obviously, because one, no one really understands what either of those concepts actually mean because they're kind of translucent on purpose. It can mean whatever you want it to mean. But I mean, they're both authoritarian control grids. One is more masculine in the sense of order. One is more feminine in the sense of everything is more equal, distributed across the morphogenic field. It resonates within low conscientious people or low information people or just people not really paying attention. It's like, I feel, because that's when people, when you ask someone what they think, they say, well, I feel that this is the way. And that's
Yeah.
how they think
Yeah.
with their feelings. And men do it too. I don't like that. I feel this way. I feel this way. It's like, well, what do you think? It's like, well, what are you talking about? It's like people don't.
I hate it when people do that. It's like, I hate it when you come up and you ask someone a very deliberate question. Like it's binary question, whatever it is. And they go, I feel the answer should be, I didn't ask you for your feelings. I asked you for the answer. It's the most frustrating thing.
But it's been taught.
No one reads, no one thinks, no one learns. We don't know how to.
And yet, utilizing your feeling words and all that kind of stuff is a feminine product, right? Because they run off of that. Men, we like to be in our logical brain. We like to be thought processed, right? And being in the feeling zone, it gets really dicey, right? And so, what is the predominant push? Schools and all that kind of stuff. I feel. Does it work for men? Some, yeah, but most, if they're logical, it doesn't really work. It convolutes what the answer is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the problem you get with these beta male guys is they're all like, you made me feel mad. It's like,
Yeah.
men are not supposed to be taught that way. They're supposed to be like logical. Not there. You're making, and I even teach my daughter, I go, you gotta, every time you make a decision, you gotta say, is this based on emotion or is this based on logic? And a lot of these kids just don't get that. It's just, they don't understand how to make a decision. They're not taught how to think. They're taught what to think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what the school system is there for, so that you have drones, that you can pre-program these people to do what you want it to do, utilize language and all that kind of stuff that makes things kind of grayish or convoluted. And so you really aren't able to move forward. It's
Part of the answer, you're seeing this, Andrew Tate or those kinds of guys that are like, it's like, oh, you got to get a Bugatti, you got to, have 50 women on your bar or whatever. It's like it's spinning off into
Total
like
male chauvinistic bullcrap. Yeah.
It's the opposite.
It's stupid and irresponsible. It's almost like it's allowed.
It's the it's the pendulum going the opposite way of where other things are going, right?
Yeah.
The feminine, ultimate masculine, not masculine, but ultimate chauvinism. Yeah. It's not masculine.
Well, what do you mean by chauvinism? I don't know what that word means exactly.
It's where you are trying to make yourself greater and better than everyone else, versus masculine is taking control of where yourself, those things are around, for the betterment of those things around. You are growing and building those things. Chauvinism is
What is
unreasonable belief in
chauvinism?
superiority or dominance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Unreasonable.
People,
I like it.
They're putting those two together, but they are like water and oil. They don't go together. Yeah, spin them and all that kind of stuff, but yet they always separate.
Yeah.
Those two words.
So yeah, but, and then people are like, well, a part of the problem is no one knows what masculinity or femininity looks like in the modern era is a part of the problem. You've noticed people are going backwards in time in terms of their thinking. Young guys are like, you remember that meme that was, I was like, why are young men thinking about the Roman Empire, which was a PsyOp, by the way. And I also suspect that was a way to get young men reinterested in the Catholic Church in addition to that, because that's like the same thing. I've literally had young guys talk to me that are Catholics, and they're like, yeah, we're about to bring back the Roman Empire. Like we're gonna have the legionaries, and we're gonna take back our lands, and we're gonna dominate the world again. I'm like, you're from Ohio. Like, what are you talking about? It's just like, what is, and then I'm watching the internet and I'm like, oh, okay, this is all being pushed because I've I've encountered that multiple times. The Orthodox bros, that's that's the Eastern version of that in a sense. Although I actually tend to like those guys a bit more. They're a little bit more interesting, but just they actually know how to think a little bit more deeply about certain things, because that's like, it's not a natural impulse in the West to go into Orthodoxy. So you got to kind of think about it deeply a bit. So which kind of naturally makes you a more interesting person to me.
Yeah.
But there has to be a way of bringing this back together, right? And that can only be done in the personal experience of, we all have a feminine nature and a masculine nature. You know, I know a lot of that sounds very, annoying to men right now because we've had feminism pushed down our throat so much that the what you could call the divine feminine is something that is almost heretical in the cosmology as we see it today. We don't think of the divine feminine because women are insane in our world today. Men are too, if we're being fair, but women are especially, and there's reasons for that. One, they're targeted by propaganda more heavily than any other group, by orders of magnitude, in my opinion. Well, the other group is men, but they are more suggestible, and they also, in the sense that, they have to have their self-preservation mechanism more sharp for their children's sake, because they're the natural empaths, which makes total sense that that's their role. So like a part of my journey of being a dad and of 2 daughters and getting married was, a part of the deal I made with God was, I want to rediscover the divine feminine as you designed it. And I want to help bring that back in my family unit as it's supposed to be in its proper order. But as I've discovered, it's really more about, well, you have to discover that in yourself first, which to me is to understand the love that a mother feels for their child, which only a mother can feel, but that can also be transferred to a father if they open their heart up enough. And it's not just an emotion, it's awareness of, like, women get to go through a transformational process called pregnancy and birth giving, which is like an initiation of consciousness of a new being has come out of me. We don't get anything close to that.
No,
so we have to
never will.
Yeah, but through the marriage, the love of our wife, we get to vicariously, and through her, if we are open to it, we can also experience something. We can learn how to go there and understand that we are one with our children, and then therefore we are one with all, we are one with God. And that opens your heart back open again to the consciousness of love, of what love actually is, of what God, when Jesus said love is, love your father, love your neighbor. Love is an awareness. It's not a feeling per se, although there's certainly feelings involved, but it's more of a knowing
state of being.
Yeah. And then once you do that, you stop hating people and getting angry. You get annoyed probably and frustrated, but it's more of like, dude, come on. Like, are we that dumb? And then it's like, but then you go back and remember what I was like and all the mistakes I made, and then you start understanding why people are the way they are, and you stop hating people, which is very important in this time, because oh my God, I've never hated as much as I did in the last several years before I had kids. And like, I literally dreamed about doing bad things to, I mean, evil people, but what was being done during COVID made me want to throw up every time I woke up and saw someone with a mask on. And I just saw another rape victim, like another mind rape victim. And I'm just like, I just hated these people so much because I knew this was all intentionally run. It's not even new. It just saw it. It's on the news. They had flashing red lights and body counts and fear, and just, sorry, a bit of a tangent, but I think
So you
it's
have the
been an
divine
important lesson.
feminine.
Yeah.
The divine feminine, right? And you're learning about that. But also with that, you have to have the masculine, the divine masculine, which is the protector of the divine feminine, if you want to say it that.
It's the creation
Because
of
you
the
want to keep
space.
that.
It's the creation of the space for the potential that can arise. But you have to be able to create the space for love to arise. Otherwise, it just gets crushed. So, and that requires a level of discipline, awareness, and consciousness, and dispassionate. Yeah, just be a general sense of dispassion of being, because otherwise you get drawn into the passions and those operating systems take control. And that, like the temptations of Christ from the devil, it's like, I'll give you this, I'll give you greed, I'll give you whatever you want, you know. And but if he took any of that, he wouldn't have created the space for us to find our way back to the heart, to the core.
And you have to be in your logic side, because Jesus didn't go through the passion, of the feelings and of the emotions and stuff like that, of hunger. He didn't allow that to overcome him. He utilized his logical side. You know, you shouldn't, don't tempt the Lord your God. Bread, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
He
I
knew.
was a kid and I heard the story and I'm like, real quick, and I'm like, why would I listen to the devil? You lie about everything. It's like, why would I trust you? It's like, the story didn't even make that much sense to me as a kid. I was like, what does he think he's doing? He's tempting the one that has all. Like, and then it's like, oh, and now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Sorry, I interrupted.
he's also 40 days in the wilderness too. So he's hungry, he's thirsty, he's worn out in the physical, yet he had been spending time with the creator, the Father God, which was more important, more filling, and more strengthening than any kind of substance that the body could get, right? And it's taught over and over and over and over, right, in the Bible about that. But yet we still go into the passions of the flesh, of feeding ourselves and all that kind of stuff, but we don't really engage into that spiritual side. And that's kind of another part of that story too. But yet here it is, we have these two things that you're learning, right? That a lot of us guys are learning, and how to regulate the two as a husband, and when to be the one that's the masculine, and how to be that one that's more of the divine feminine, that feminine of compassion, of empathy, and that kind of stuff. And that's hard. That is super hard.
Yeah. Have you gone into the concept of dualism? I'm sure you have. Yeah. What do you make of that? Because we see that in our physical nature. We have bifurcated hemispheres. Our body is, essentially a mirror of itself.
Mhm.
Bifurcation. That image of that Orthodox image of Christ. That is actually, let me just share it real quick. It's right here. It's two different faces if you look closely.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's like, if you're going to make that icon, it has to be that way. It's like, they don't take art as like, oh, this, I'm just get to freehand whatever I want. No, if you are making an icon of Christ, that's what you're making every time. Now, obviously there's different artistic renditions of that, but the dual nature, or the dualism of even Christ is expressed in that icon. And that is one of the main transmissions being sent through history to us today. That's a part of why I love I can't help but be in awe of what I look at the Orthodox Church as like an arc from the past, bringing things, one of the few arcs we have left. And, and there's several, but that dual nature, male, female, it's good and evil, dark and light. God created the earth. He walked over the surface of the deep. Well, what's the deep? God's the order, and the deep is what's that? Pure potentiality.
Is that the unknown?
I think potentiality is a better way of saying it, and because our language is so limited. When you look out into the cosmos and you just see, it's like, well, is it all just nothing, or is it potential?
It's huge potential. Cosmos.
And then what's holding it all together in the form it is, and then that's, you're seeing God right there, or the outflow of the divine order. Every time we look at a leaf, a twig, another human, an animal, star, anything, it's what's holding it all together. Literally, the argument of randomness is on its face insane and a lie, and we can see it's a lie, and they've tried to trick us into that, which makes us dive into the dual mindset even more. We pick sides now so we can feel safe in a land of chaos, when really it's all perfectly balanced.
And that's where the Church of Science,
Scientology,
tries to figure this all that kind of stuff out, and then scientists, they try to manipulate it and they destroy it.
Actual science, not
you mean
science?
Yes, correct. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
He's not talking about L. Ron Hubbard. He's talking about religion.
Yeah, Steiner described
scientific religion.
Rudolf Steiner described modern day scientists as they're interested in the science of death, and they don't know how to measure things unless they can kill it. They break it down, they burn it into ash, they liquidate it, and they find out what's its base parts. Like, everyone talks about gravity. Well, what about levity? Like, one of the guys he's a Steiner student, Douglas Gabriel, he often says, when Newton had the proverbial apple hit him on the head, the right question one of the questions he should have asked was, how did the apple get there? Instead of just, it fell, eureka, it's gravity. It's like, well, how did the apple get there? How do things rise? Why do trees rise up? Why do things move upwards, towards the sun of all things? Why does that? We just take that for granted. Like, oh yeah, that's just what it does. It's like, no one's answered that question. They just say photosynthesis and that's it. It's like, that is not good enough. Sorry. What is
electricity? Nobody really understands electricity.
Steiner said electricity was effectively dying light. That it's basically what we would call fallen angels, entities coming into this sphere through the etheric or the plasmoidal field that are interfacing in the material world as we see it, that are basically sacrificing themselves to create conditions on this world for, as we see existence, to exist. Which I don't know. I mean, we take things a little literally. I like to take Steiner's words as artistic and just kind of use my imagination when I hear that. And I'm like, that's a very beautiful idea, actually. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That because it makes us feel connected, because we are connected. I mean, we just saw an example tonight of the sun having a little, doing a trick for us, and and making the whole sky light up in North America.
Which you don't see that unless you're up in the continent of Canada or North America.
It's pretty Alaska. Cool, man. I've been up there.
We just take that for granted. Like, oh yeah, that's just the sun doing something weird. It's like, what is that? What is actually happening?
It's just radiation lighting up different, like, I think oxygen is green and nitrogen. Different colors.
But what's holding all this together? Forget about them. Like, okay, what's underneath molecules? They say atoms, then it's quarks, It's,
Proton, neutrons.
For this, he goes, and then they have these hadron colliders. They keep finding smaller and smaller and smaller billiard balls, assuming that we even trust what they're even telling us, because they're looking at very specific conditions under very specific circumstances, and they're just extrapolating from that one condition the cosmos. It's insane, but it's kind of the ultimate conclusion to materialism. Is let's smash everything together and just make it as small as we possibly can, and eventually we'll find the God particle. There is no God particle. It doesn't exist, because everything's bleeding in from higher levels. We're thinking of things in terms of everything's just this, because if we think of everything like this, that's us. Instead of everything's like this, everything's interconnected, interwebbed with each other. It's not. Materialism is really the religion we're talking about.
But we can only see what is here. I can't see what is right there from your eyes or Cody's eyes. We can only see from our own eyes, from our own perspective. And we are so limited.
Yeah,
when we
and
get
that's where
together
stories
and share
and narratives.
Concepts,
Yep. That's where narratives come in. And if they tell us that everything's made of particles since we were old enough to communicate, then that's what we'll believe. And even though they show us electromagnetic fields all around the earth, and we're like, what particles are those? It's like, those are fields of something coming in. It's like, stop asking questions. You're starting to sound weird,
We're having
we don't know
what
the
is
answers.
this? A G4 from the sun right now. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's like a triple CME that's coalesced into one. It's a big one. And I've been watching the sun along with a lot of other people that have kind of tuned into this over the last several years, and solar activity has increased dramatically. And have you ever seen a map of our local galaxies as they describe to us? It's almost like they flow in rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the light, like the bodies, the stars, the systems, they all tend to, there's big giant black gaps. It's like, why? What's holding all this together? And then it's like, you look at the human body and you look at everything below, as above, so below, right? It's, if we're created from a higher order of things, then we look above, we see the same system. We look below, we see the same system. It's something's holding this all in place. And that order is what leads to morality, equilibrium, and peace. Because if we stay in the flow of things as they should be, things always work out. Even if things materially don't work out or our bodies die, we're still a part of that one substrate. I know I'm getting a little Buddhist here, but they were onto something there. Okay. I'm not a Buddhist, but I'm a Christian, but I think Christ was the lived fulfillment of destroying. I think he destroyed I think he destroyed materialism.
Okay, yeah, I get behind that.
Never thought about that.
I think he just decimated it. It's just a matter of time before people realize it.
Define destroyed materialism from a theological point of view.
From a lived example, from a lived experience, or even if that didn't physically happen, let's say it didn't happen. Who cares? The story's there. It's entrenched in our psyches. Everyone knows the story. It's immortal. It's not going to go away. The being from above that has everything all together gave up everything to come and save us just for the sheer fact that he loved us. And then we have our own children and we're like, well, if God did that for me, I can do that for my kids. And wow, if I can do that for my kids, maybe I can do that for my neighbor. Maybe I can do that. And then it's like, you start seeing people
exponential.
It's like a virus in a good way. It's a counter virus. It's antiviral. Materialism was the Indians call it Kali Yuga, the age of iron, where consciousness basically coalesced into materialism, into a very dense plane where everything got very cold and hard, and almost like we were coming out of the animal kingdom. But in early consciousness stages, what happens? Like, look at Conan the Barbarian as a movie, but that's a good archetype of like what humankind is like.
It's a hell of a documentary.
It's a great documentary. Hey, Who made that movie? I forgot his name.
John Milius.
John Milius, dude. That dude, he knows what's up. Like, he knows what's up 100%.
He also wrote one of my favorite movies of all time, the other documentary, Red Dawn.
Yeah. Yeah, which we're going through right now. Speaking real quick, Operation Gladio, all these drug boats are blowing up. That's what I would do if I was trying to cut off, like, basically what seems to have happened is Operation Gladio has gone rampant and all these assets are self-fulfilling at this point that were started a long time ago. And it was always like, well, we'll control it. We'll control it. It's out of control. Now it's like, all right, it's time to kill it. It's a monster. It needs to be slain. And that's what I think. None of these organizations have to exist if governments don't want them to, or states or these financialist actors don't want them to exist. They could decimate them overnight.
I remember someone wanted to ask you about. What do you think about what's his name? Microsoft guy. What's it?
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates coming out and saying that he put that paper out last week.
Yeah.
Did you read about that?
Yeah, big oopsie. Sorry, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
The global warming is not a problem.
It's I mean, one, they need unlimited power basically for their computer silicate gods that they're trying to bring in. This high consciousness.
He's paying to reopen 3 Mile Island.
And they've been talking about micro reactors for a long time. I mean,
he's paying to do that, yeah. But yeah, he's literally spending a buttload of money for them to, because I think it was reactor 3 or something went down. There's like 3 or 4 reactors there.
Rudolph Steiner. Go ahead, sorry.
And he's paying to have the whole lot of them turn back on that they can, the reactors and stuff. A lot of reactors are reactivating because of the power demands of all these AI plants.
Yep. And also, it's another, in the information world, is also a black hole that we can't look into. We just have to trust that they're telling us the truth about it.
Yeah, I don't know,
I have yet to see an exact reason why they need this much water and they need this much energy. It's almost like they need another reason to kill us.
Yeah, why not?
Or limit our growth potential, because we're the rampancy program they're afraid of. They are terrified of the fact that we can even have this conversation right now.
Yeah, see right here. 3 Mile Island, nuclear power plant, fast tracking to be reopened for AI energy demands.
Yeah, well, when people were crypto mining, the energy was consumed so fast and so hard that grids were having a hard time keeping up. And now for AI, it sounds like it's doing the same. They're putting in solar panels and all that kind of stuff, but they have to put them close to water sources or bring water sources in. So there's all kinds of things that are connected with that. Yet, if they do go back to coal and all that kind of stuff, or nuclear, which has been a hot topic. I was talking to some people about that. Actually, some other people were talking to me about that. One person was saying they think that they have an idea that in the future, homes will be built with their own nuclear reactor somewhere. It's a very small piece and it will power the house plus.
There's a
That's
lot
my
of
daughter. She's
lore
upset. I'm sorry.
and real and very compelling stuff out there that they've, this has been kind of a conspiracy theory for a while, but that we've been able, what we were just talking about cosmology, about how everything is potential. It's like, well, if you can tap into that potential and harness it, theoretically it's limitless. So when we say nuclear, we're talking about, radioactive, plutonium, whatever. It's like, there's something else going on here. They've lied. They've lied about so much at this point where it's like, you guys probably have limitless energy and you just can't roll it out, because that creates a rampancy problem with human consciousness. Like where
Nikolai Tesla probably built that back in the day. But yeah, you look at nuclear submarine, you can park that on the
I suspect
South
those
America
things have whatever the hell it is that he, like, because I talked to a nuclear engineer that worked on a nuke submarine, and he had like the highest level clearance. And he's like, to be honest with you, we just watched the gauges. We have no idea how the hell that thing worked. Seriously. I was like,
So they're reopening a nuclear power plant in Ohio that was slated to be shut down or has been shuttered, but they're reactivating it for Microsoft, and 3 Mile Island is coming back online so they can have enough power to run their little things.
So if we go back to Gladio, this whole mission creep concept, do you know what that is, Cody?
Do what now?
mission creep.
Mission creep is
Mission
the gradual expansion of a project or mission scope beyond its original goals and objectives, often leading to a loss of focus and efficiency. And it
Yeah,
can
basically
occur
the mission needs to find a reason to stay around.
No. So you have a mission, right? But you have, oh, let's try this, or let's do this, or let's do this. And so it kind of goes out of control. When you have your mission and vision, you're going down a direct path. But when you have a mission creep, you're diverting from that mission and vision. And I think what's happening ever since Gladio and all that kind of stuff into today is that what was meant for a single vision and mission has become this uncontrollable. Because I think that's what Collin said. It's uncontrollable unless you can utilize the might of a big force to slow it down, to stop it, to corral it.
Well, the way you would do that is through the financial access. Like, we know where they bank, shut them down. Why can't we do that? That's the interesting question. Why can't we do that? I don't know the answer to that question because we know, we're not, but here's a part of the problem. These financial these ledgers are now in the ether. They're blockchained, decentralized. Now it's just this etheric rampancy program of self-correcting contracts going off all over the world in light speed or the speed of electricity. And I suspect no one controls it at this point. I think the people that think they're at the top are scared now. I think there's, and this is like this idea of once you cut a deal with the devil and you rise to the top, careful what you wish for, because maybe you just realize you're the biggest slave of all and there's no way out. And like, even if you pulled the plug on yourself, the amount of fallout and devastating effects that would happen, like, let's say you had a turn of heart and you wanted to come back to Jesus and God or whatever. If you did that at this point in the game, the amount of fallout the catastrophes that would be caused because you have gained so much control through your entity, your avatar that you're playing right now, you're trapped. And I think that's the soul. I think that's hell. Like, to be honest,
That would be another type of hell.
I think that's I think hell is here right now and heaven's also here right now. I think time and places and the way we think, I think it's useful to think of heaven and hell, but I think it's also an experience that we're all inhabiting now, or like what we call now. It's a timeless space, right? It's always there. It's, so we got to take time out of the equation. If we do, that means it's always there, or it's not, or we're in between both, or whatever. And only you can know where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone says, I'm in heaven, I believe them. When they have that look in their eye and they're not high on drugs, I'm like, I'm in heaven. And they have that love and light coming out of their eyes. And I'm like, I believe you.
Yeah. And then you can also see them when they're in hell.
Yeah. I'm in purgatory right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm stuck.
And people have theorized about this, right? Heaven and hell, and that we create our own heaven and hell by the way we think and interact and all that kind of stuff.
It's been my experience.
I see it. I've experienced it. And yet you can move yourself from hell to that heaven.
Like that.
Or it takes time and intentionality.
Yeah. A part of the thing that I am having a hard time getting over is I am beyond horrified by what's happened to humans, and I have a hard time letting go of that. Realizing what's been done to us is It's just, it was too much too fast, but it kind of had, I mean, but it's getting easier, and with, great knowledge comes great suffering and sorrow, right? And I've never been more depressed and sad and I'm not a natural, like, I mean, I was not a depressive kid, but I think we all were. I think this happened. I mean, this has to happen with everybody. Everyone has to go through this process, just in different
Completely
modalities.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. But
One of the ways I perceive it is there's people that are out there that are doing the ostrich, where they're sticking their head intentionally in a hole so they don't have to see what's around.
I mean, out of self-preservation, I literally think people would start committing suicide if they understood the levels of insanity, like what we're dealing with right now. I mean, they are. I think that's mostly what all this PTSD from these guys that go off to war, and then once they actually see it and are in it, and then they come back and they're like, what? It's like they don't have a way to, there's no way to process.
World War I was one of the better ways of processing it, and what it was, they had to ship people back, right? And it took weeks, months, and so they would be shipped back as a unit, whatever's left, and that kind of stuff. And they were able to process that, and they were a little bit more whole individuals. Now you skip to today, where you pull someone off the battlefield through a helicopter to a plane to Germany and then to the United States, and there's no processing. The person's gone just like that. And so you have another part of that PTSD. What people have been doing is trying to figure out ways to move people from PTSD to post-traumatic growth, to change it, kind of like what they were doing in the First World War. Yeah, I've done a little bit of.
No, they definitely seem to handle it better. There's a movie that just came out, The Last 600 Meters. PBS finally aired it after 17 years. I highly recommend watching it. I just saw it air last night. It's about Fallujah and Nadaf, the Marines that went in and did it. And what's interesting, the first showing of it, I mean, it was made 17 years ago, and they basically squashed it because I think, well, one, we were in the Middle East. It was 2004. So it was like, if they showed it to the public, it would have been counterproductive for propaganda purposes, I think, because it was like, it was real. It was a really good, it's very real, of like, it followed individual soldiers and Marines and what happened, and let them talk. It was like fresh after the events that took place. It was, it's the amount of pressure that you're under in those kinds of environments too, for the guys that actually were in fights. It's like, they showed it to a bunch of World War II veterans that fought on Peleliu, and it was like stone silence at the end of the showing. And they were all like talking to each other, and they came up and said, like, we couldn't have done that. What those guys had to go through. Like, we could not have done that. Like, I don't know how those guys did that. You have to go into every room. You don't know what's in there. You have to watch for women and children. You have to watch out for certain sites, and you're doing hundreds of thousands of homes. Think about clearing every corner constantly on. Mm-hmm. They were in that, and they didn't leave for a month. They were just in it for a month. And they were like, when we were fighting on Peleliu, we just killed everything that moved in front of us, and there were no rules. We just killed everything. It was like, this would have made us go insane. And
then it did. Made a lot of people lose their minds. But here's the crazy thing. There's people that are able to have physical missing members and all that kind of stuff or whatever else, but yet this doesn't go. They don't get PTSD. Like,
yeah, I've noticed others. That. I was literally thinking about that today. That's so interesting you brought that up. Yeah, what do you make of that?
Yeah. I was reading a book on that, and I'm trying to remember what the name of the book. Maybe I can find it later. And they were saying it was just how they perceived themselves, and also they had these core values or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. I read it a couple years ago, and it just created this strong person inside. Even those people that were put in Hanoi, and that kind of stuff, they were able to come out and be able to re-enter society. And they were building massive wealth and stuff, while others, they had to be medicated and all that kind of stuff, and they didn't become anything.
Yep, I'm talking
And it
about the
was,
guys that were like that lost limbs. Like, there's not a lot of those that are highly depressed. They're there. There are those guys, but the ones that actually lost a body part or something, or were
Mhm.
physically harmed in a severe way, they almost seem in a better state of mind, right? Isn't that what you're saying? Or than the ones that,
Sometimes it's that, sometimes it's they don't have any physical harm to themselves, but it's something to do with up here.
no, I'm saying that relative to the guys that don't have like a permanent injury like that, like lost
Mhm.
an arm or something, it's almost like those guys are worse off and meant like psychologically, mentally, whatever, like than the ones that have that constant reminder of that happened. Like, because I almost wonder if they get into like a dream state, because that's like coming back to the real world. Like, did that just happen, or did I imagine all that, or what's real, or what? Because adrenaline's pumping so high, you don't really have a memory of what happened or why, or did I make a mistake, or did what was the point? You know, you overthink it too much. Meanwhile, these guys have a stub and they just go, you know what, I can focus my pain onto that and make it real
Yeah.
versus something lost in the psyche. Maybe I don't know. I just, that thought crossed my mind. I just,
Or didn't let the psyche get lost. Man, I wish I remember what the name of that book, but it's two guys that wrote it together. And it's their shared experience in trying to figure this whole thing out. And they figure out a program to help veterans through that. And the Horses for Heroes, I think predates that or something. I can't remember how it goes. But there's certain things that you can do to bring back the wholeness.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if you're missing a body part or not, all that kind of stuff. It fascinates me. It super fascinates me because I've seen all these guys and seen what, they've talked their stories when another veteran's in the room. Man, they just speak like it just is happening and stuff. And then you have others who's like, yeah, I went, did it. Now I'm back. And now I'm making 8 figures.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
am I making that? I'm saying, like, you've experienced this.
It,
I've always wondered this, and I don't know if I didn't hear the answer to the question, so sorry. But you've
well, the
interacted
answer
with
is
way
not.
more of these people. Would you?
The answer is not if you have a limb missing or anything like that. The answer is actually in the mind.
100%.
It doesn't matter if it's missing something or not. I would have to find that book and then send you it, and you can, it's a fascinating book.
I guess let me answer, sorry, ask the question a different way. I'm asking, in your personal experience, would you say people that have physical permanent injuries are relatively, obviously not all, but relatively more whole psychologically than those that come back with brain? No, you haven't experienced. Okay. That may just been but I don't interact with a lot of those folks, so I don't know. That's something that I was wondering if there was something to that, but
So what are you
probably
asking
not.
now? What are you asking?
Nothing. It's a
For the last 10
it's a dumb
minutes.
question because apparently it's not true. I trust Corey on this, so I was just curious about that. When I get hurt physically, it kind of gives me something to focus on. That was kind of my internal logic to that, instead of like,
No,
It's
I
good
have
logic.
my brother's friends come hanging around, and yeah, it doesn't change too much in my opinion. It depends on it is mindset, but
yeah, no, I agree. I think that makes more sense, honestly. Okay, well,
Kind of a pause right now because I'm thinking, where do we go from here? What do we talk about now?
well, I mean, we're almost done. I mean, what do you guys? Why do you think I wanted to bring up Gladio so strongly, Corey and Cody? whoever wants to answer that.
You're trying to give meaning to what's going on. What I thought. Where does it come from? See, because that's the question I keep asking. Is who are the people? Who's pulling the strings of the puppets? Who's the puppet master? Where does this all come back to? Who's running the show? Who's the guy? Who's the Wizard of Oz? You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because some of these people, like AOC, is not smart enough to figure out how to do this crap on her own. She's a dumbass. She talks and my brain just shrivels because they just elected a communist.
Or
to New York.
these people are liars. Like, that's how you got to start looking at them. Don't think that, like, they understand that people listening to them are insane and stupid. They don't care. Like, there's when you're hearing these people talk, you might as well be listening to a computer program spitting out a logic sequence. Like, you're not listening to a human being. You're listening to a logic sequence that's premised on a lie. So that's why they sound crazy, because it is crazy. But then it becomes a confidence game. That's why I like that book, The Confidence Man, The Con Man. And that's politics, that's sales, that's business. I mean, the amount of authentic, real people I've met in my life, I could count on two hands. Like, they're not out there. People are scared, insecure liars, because that's the world system right now. And so am I to a certain degree. I've just stopped caring a little bit much because I got angry. Now
it's the fish. It's the fish story. It started out like this, and then it got like this, then it got like this. Keeps getting bigger, as you tell it to different people and stuff like that, and people believe it because they don't really know you until they get to know you. They're like, I was there. You're like, no, you weren't, until you have to go tell someone else. So you have to have self-importance versus people that are like, hey, I believe in truth. I believe in being honest and transparent. There's not a lot of people like that because the others are trying to eat them, so they don't divulge, or they don't point out all the flaws and the inconsistencies that they're putting out. Because once they do that, then they lose all credibility because they're built themselves on lies of credible lies, or what you want to call it.
It's a self-preservation operating system. Like, what do I have to say to get ahead, to get what I need? And then now in a point, and when you're desperate, you don't have a lot, basically the rules are, what can I get away with?
And it's not logical for people that don't think that way, don't interact that way with the public, with others, with themselves, right? It's a mirror that we can't, we look in and we don't, we can't see ourselves. Right?
I wanted to bring it up, the concept of projection. I wanted to ask you about that because that's all like, can you distill that idea of projection down to its core in your understanding?
I'm sitting here thinking,
what is it exactly? Like, what are we doing? What is it?
I'm trying to think this one through because
can I throw out something and maybe it'll get the juice? So when you're kids, and I got fresh examples, all you do is, there's a lot of mimicry going on, right? That's kind of how you gain context for your current environment. Children, that's the innocence of children, right? That's why we want to protect the innocence of children, because they're reprojecting what they're taking in their environment. That's, of course, what they're going to do. There's argumentation for, like, there's things that are built in to their dharma, their destiny, the time and place they were born into. Like, and I totally believe that, but a lot of that is still rooted in who the parents were. But then it's a chicken before the egg kind of thing. It's like, what came first? It's like, I don't know. But the point is, that never really stops until in my experience, ever. Like, adults keep doing it. The problem is people start buying into stories that they've told themselves since they were children that help them make sense of the world around them. But the problem is we're getting into a place where nothing really makes sense anymore, on its face. Like, we don't have basic creation myths that we can just just say, well, God created the world in 7 days and that's it, and Jesus died for my sins. Now we're at a point where we have to explain, what do you mean by that? Because there's a lot of people saying that are crazy. And I don't know what rules of the game you're playing by when you just say those words back to me. Like, what's your morality? What's your cosmology? Like, who are you? You know? So I think people innately understand there is no coherent narrative, really, unless you, I mean, there is, because God is sovereign in here, and I believe in truth. I know truth is real. It's evidently true. It's obviously true to me, but to most people, I think that's not obvious. I think people are scared, and they pick an archetype that they want people to see themselves as, and they just mimic that as much as they can, and they keep themselves surrounded by people that they can be codependent with, that will reproject that image back at them. And then that creates stability in their cosmology. The problem is we're entering into a time where all that's going to fall apart. And that's why people are going insane. So they haven't thought this through. And this has happened in a very short period of time, a couple of generations.
Yeah.
I mean,
the projection is, as old as time, because we are trying to figure out self and where self is in society and marriage and all this kind of stuff. And some people have a stronger, projection, some are weaker projection. Yet there are those at end of life, they analyze that. And that's where the dark night of the soul happens. But also during the middle of the life or stuff like that, the dark night of the soul happens also, because what I'm projecting, is that really reality? Is that really? And so there is this incongruence that people have to suffer through.
Steiner said that in the 21st century, and he died at the turn of the century, but he said later on in the 21st century that there'd be a mass problem with Alzheimer's. Like, Alzheimer's would run rampant. And the reason, and there's medical, physical reasons for that, poisoning, all that stuff, that I'm exposure to toxicity and things like that I think are affecting that. But I also think that's being created. He basically was saying that it was because of the turning of the age that we're in, that these older souls were not going to be able to transition. And this was a way to basically get them to transition back home in a more calm manner, instead of reflecting and trying to make sense of everything around them, because it just, for some souls, it's too much.
Yeah. Scientifically, Alzheimer's can't be diagnosed until after death. Did you know that?
No, but you got to, I guess you got to do a dissection, right?
Yeah. So when people get the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, they're probably 99% false. And this is what I've been learning about this stuff, that it's overdone. But yet, what is the one diagnosis that has the biggest backing and stuff? Lots of money poured into Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's group. There's one here up where I live. Tons of resources, tons of money, but it is in the umbrella of dementia, right?
Dementia and Alzheimer's, to me, it's the same thing to me, but I agree. I understand that they're different technically.
Medical model.
Right.
Medical model, right? And so when you look at, when Steiner's looking at that, he's probably hitting on something, right? That even the people today, the gurus, the doctors and all that kind of stuff, the professionals, they don't really understand.
No, they don't. I mean, they have no idea what they're dealing with. I totally believe, because if they did, they'd be able to have a reasonable explanation. They don't. So,
but there are people behind the curtain that do. They have the cure, they have all the things, right? But yet, why would you want to cure something that you can make billions of dollars off of?
Like, the whole argument of, like, with cancer, the argument's been they can cure cancer, but you know how much money they make off of fighting cancer?
Do you know how much money they make off of dementia wards?
Probably about the same.
I wonder though, you're talking about behind the curtain, who's running this, like some mastermind. This is why I like one of the many reasons I like Steiner so much is his contention was no one's like, there's no one person. It literally is like, it's a logic system that's running rampant to its logical incentive conclusions. Like it's not one person. Now there's systems and things that we need to be aware of to avoid as free thinking, free willing, free feeling beings that want to aim back towards God and our home and be and not be free to do what we want, but do what we ought, fulfill our dharma, our mission, what we're sent here to do. But for people that don't have that mission, they're going to follow incentive structures to the grave anyway. So, and those incentive structures, like people say, like, well, I talked to this lady, she was working for Netflix. I'm like, oh, you run the propaganda department for Obama. Great. Good job. She's like, oh, it's just a job. I don't do that. I'm like, so he's not on your board and it's not even about Obama, but you don't think Netflix does propaganda? She's like, oh, absolutely not. That's absurd. And this was at a Republican meeting. Like she was a conservative. Yeah. That's why I was like, maybe you should go back and look at the catalog from a different profile. Like, I don't know what it is you're seeing, but it's like, I mean, and if you look and stand out, and this is why it's so discouraging to even work right now, find a profession that isn't demonic in some way. Like, good luck. That's why the trades are coming back so strong too. Is one, we need them, and two, they're fairly honest for the most part.
Yeah,
Unless you're getting government contracts. Yeah, exactly.
What about a pastor? Is a pastor very demonic?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, about 99% of them. Yeah, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that demons have a role to play, and and I've had amazing pastors, and there's a lot of, it's also the fastest way to become a millionaire in today's economy. Statistically speaking.
Dude, we need to start a church. I know we all have you.
I've been trying to get a cult going for a long time. That's what I've been saying to my friends. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's start a cult. Like, let's.
Hey man, I'm telling you,
why is it taking off then?
I'm just joking. I don't want to do it.
I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for Stockholm syndrome, I wouldn't have a relationship. I'm just saying.
Whoa.
If it wasn't for Stockholm syndrome, I wouldn't have a relationship. You okay, buddy? You want some help? Blink twice.
And was it like this?
Beep, 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 beep.
I need help. Yeah.
What is that? What isn't Stockholm is when, am I saying the right one?
It's when typically with females that you gain trust with your captor. Like you defend your captor, basically. He's like, oh, he's a good man. Yeah. He doesn't.
See, I'm telling you.
He only beats me twice a day now. He's a good man.
See, I'm telling you, Corey, that's the success story right there. You just need to get yourself a dungeon.
Okay. A dungeon. All right. Yeah. Not happening. Not going down that road. Yeah. Because, when they wake up to the reality, they'll bury
there's a whole lot of explaining to do.
Yeah.
Then you got to get rid of the bodies. And
see, what you're saying is John Wayne Gacy did not have it all figured out. Okay.
Well, he at least figured out how to dispose of the bodies.
No, he didn't. He buried them all in one spot.
I thought he ate them.
No, that's Dahmer.
That's right.
I mean, get your serial murderers correct here.
Sorry.
Dude.
God,
my gosh.
Sorry. I'm going off of the South Park episode. I was a little bit before my time. So, all right. On that shiny note,
they took the whole entire building down when they found those all those people in there. They took the whole building down. They just leveled the building.
Maybe we talk about Operation, or we talk about Monarch and MKUltra. Some next.
Moving on.
No, it's not moving on. I'm saying that's directly tied to what you're saying. On. No, not now. I'm just saying that Monarch and MKUltra, maybe, that's something we haven't touched on yet.
So what you're saying is Donner Party of 12 over here. Thank you. There's not a appropriate
No, I'm saying that those serial
Get it?
killers, a lot of them were government programs.
You've never heard of the?
Successful.
Have you ever
government
heard of the
programs.
Donner Party?
They got a
Colin?
lot of information out of it. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I don't know if they were, I don't know what their definition of success is anymore. I don't think they do either. But
Wait, what?
Just,
I was talking about the Donner Party, and
yeah,
you're
no,
talking.
I know we're talking. You think we're talking about cannibalism? I'm talking about how government is psyoping people into killing people and murdering them and eating them. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so same, kind of the same.
Well,
but
was
a little
it?
different? They were a little bit more desperate, I think.
The Unabomber was part of that crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, on record. MKUltra.
Yeah.
So was Timothy McVeigh. So was
Timothy McVeigh was part of that.
yeah, he was
Terry
Delta.
Nichols and Timothy
he was
McVeigh?
Delta Force. He had no idea. Yeah, he thought he was doing some training op or something. You just have to look at the pillars. Once you see the pillars and how they were blown up, and there's photos of it, it's planted C4 charges. Ammonia truck bomb my ass. It didn't happen. Absolute lie. And those guys have actually come forward and they've put that on the record. And there's so much evidence about that. It's ridiculous. But no, that was a sanctioned event. That was not
World
some
Trade
random.
Center.
The world, all of it.
No,
all of it.
Oklahoma Trade Center. I mean,
No.
Oklahoma Federal Building.
It's also with the trade centers too, because the planes didn't take them down.
Well, they're designed not to
It's
take them
impossible.
down.
It's impossible. Yeah, and that is an outflow of Operation Gladio, Ajax, using factions to run ops in your own country for certain reasons.
Ajax, isn't that the stuff you use to clean your hands?
Mhm.
Interesting. So they
He's
named
also
an
a Grecian
hands.
war hero or mythic war hero in the Trojan War. Helped take down Troy.
So you're
using
saying
a
that they
wooden horse.
named Operation Ajax the stuff they use to clean your hands. And
Operation Ajax was how they took down how they installed the Ayatollah.
The first time in the 50s.
We talked about that when we were, Iran we were the war. I was talking about Operation Ajax, and I was like, that was a U.S. sanctioned operation to overthrow. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. The guy, the king, basically, I forgot his name, and they used their old networks from the 50s and 40s through the Mujahideen and all those operations in the Middle East to install the Ayatollah as we know him today, and he is still under their control. It's a giant game.
And why did we drop the 6 bombs on them?
Because we ended the
Trump
nuclear,
won't play those drain.
and we ended their nuclear. He said total obliteration of their nuclear program.
Yeah, that was a hell of a bomb.
Do we have proof of that?
Man.
No, it doesn't matter. That's the story. That's all that matters. We dropped bombs. It was the biggest, most beautiful operation. We had 6 B2s and now it's gone. It's obliterated. Anyone ask the question? Total obliteration.
Hey, on that
total
note,
obliteration.
So there's this website called Marine Traffic. Have you ever heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it shows where all the transponders are for all of the ships in the world, except for military ships. I'm just saying that there are presently 5 ships from the Netherlands down in near Venezuela.
Yep.
And they're all intelligence gathering ships.
Dutch.
I was like, oh, what's this ship? Oh. Netherlands.
And I've heard this from multiple former Delta guys that basically they're burning their assets. They're burning the Devil's Legions, these entities that were spun up out of Operation Gladio. And Gladio is the colloquial term. It was a massive operation of just installing criminal intelligence. It ties into underworld. Anyway, the point is they're getting rid of these people because at a certain point, like imagine you're a drug trader and that's all you know how to do and that's how you make your living. What's your off ramp?
There is none.
There's not. You gotta kill them. There's no other off ramp.
Take that concept and move it to other places here in the United States and all that kind of stuff. Once they don't become useful,
I think they're choking them off hard to de-incentivize the boats. Most of the drugs come in through air. So that'll be interesting to see if they actually, you start seeing airliners go down or being busted on the tarmac.
Well, there
Private
was an
planes.
MD-11 that crashed. FedEx.
I mean, that happens. Like, I mean, there's an airliner that crashes every couple of years, and there's always somebody of interest on board.
Well, maybe we just
Or
don't level
a
with.
submarine that goes down way too deep and crushes itself.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, they found I mean, it's just I think they've lost their usefulness anyway to the syndicate or the cartel or the global cartel. I think they're just like, they're too overexposed. I think they're going to get rid of them anyway. It's hard to say whether or not these are like the people that are running this play, including Trump, are actually trying to reclaim American sovereignty. I don't even know what that means anymore. And it's just in the global system the way we have it today. I don't know what that means. Anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I would keep an eye out for, now that they've been targeting boats and they've been targeting boats in the Pacific. I'd be looking for, it sounds like, and I've heard from Border Patrol, the southern border is literally shut off. So it sounds like that. It sounds.
But dude, I drove it last weekend, and it is nuts how little is going on down there.
Now it's Canada, and that
Canada.
Yeah, and now we have people over here from Russia. Putin sent some people over, or the Russians have sent people over to start openly talking on podcasts about building a tunnel under the Bering Strait.
What about this? Have you been reading about how China has been bringing in been setting up grow houses all over the country, growing weed?
Yeah, I mean, when we say China, look, China has a deep state too. And it's not that it's good guys or bad guys. This is why I wanted to talk about Gladio, is the Tongs is what you call them, the cartels in China. They were hijacked by our intelligence groups and funded by, I mean, really, it's easy. You just got to fund them and then get your own people planted in over time. But we've kind of had our fingernails. And when I say we, it's not Americans. The British, Dutch, European global banking system cartel apparatus that has controlled China forever. And what happened about 10 years ago is there seems to have been a split. But yeah, no, there are grow houses because drugs are the way to extract wealth and demoralize and hurt adversaries and keep it all off the books. And you can run black operations off of drugs till, the cows come home.
That's what they're saying, is they're doing all these grow houses like all over Oklahoma, and they're putting them up in Maine and all these places, and they're coming in
Colorado.
And that's how they're getting their money to get to the their networks of people. Is they're selling all these pot, and now there is a real, can get their money out.
General Flynn came out and he said he's expecting massive terrorist activity within the next 90 days.
Same with Sarah.
And by the way, I don't trust Flynn or Sarah Adams. I don't trust, like, as far as I'm concerned, they're all operatives until I'm proven otherwise. I have yet to see any real fruits come from any of their labors, but we'll see. I'm open to it. Right now, I'm just seeing a bunch of fear.
Yeah. It's crazy,
without any real solutions. So it's like, well, if we know all this is happening, then are we just that blind? Are you saying we're that blind at the governmental level? Then in that case, we need to have a discussion, a different kind of discussion.
Yeah.
So, and if that's not what you're saying, then let's be clear with our intentions. And they just aren't. And I've been around Flynn a lot, not me personally, but I've been around organizations he's helped set up and people that know him very well. And he has burned a lot of bridges. A lot of people are actually pretty annoyed with him because a part of it is they think he's, what Flynn used to do when he was in DIA? He ran PsyOps in Afghanistan.
I didn't know that.
Hearts and minds. He's tied to a lot of high-tech firms that are really good at running stuff like this, and he knows how all that works. He knows what to say, he knows what to do. And I don't know this for sure. I want to believe he's a solid good guy. I don't want to believe, it hurts me to even think this way, but we're dealing with layers and layers of deception here. It's so dark when you get into it that even people that think they're working for they've got it so that people that think they're working for the good guys they're working for the enemy. Like it's almost like if you're working for anybody at this point, it's almost like you're bought off, because they don't allow individualistic institutions that aren't controlled to survive. You get too big, they
Makes
just
sense.
shut you down. I've experienced it multiple times. You get debanked, you get lawsuits, you get
yeah, you guys have definitely experienced.
you get ops thrown at you. It's crazy. They're waiting for the flowers to rise and chop the heads off as soon as you stand up too tall. So that's really a part of the problem. That's the problem right now, is there's no way to cohesively stand together.
Yeah.
And people are insane on top of that. And people don't even know how this all works.
People aren't insane. They're just stupid. Well, it's a split
all the
difference.
above, and me included. And I'm not saying that.
Oh, no, you're fucking nuts, dude. So I
am. Yeah. But
well, anyways, we're getting way past our normal time.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm done. I need to take care.
I'm just glad I finally got it off my chest. Collin's nuts.
Yeah, but I'll admit it. Honestly, it makes me feel better just knowing that I'm insane.
Hey, never underestimate the power of Stockholm syndrome, dude. I'm telling you.
So I don't know what this means.
I'm just.
I think it's just really late.
I'm tired. I need to go to bed.
All right, man. Well, on that, thank you for watching the rabbit hole. We went on some different tangents. Once again, unscripted, and we never know where we're going. So thank you all for watching.
If you can follow up, you're doing much better than us.
Shit, I mean, heck, I didn't follow us most of the time. I'm just playing catch up.
Yeah, you fell asleep.
Yeah.
Did I?
I don't know.
For like 20 minutes.
I didn't know how to.
I just saw your eyes roll in the back of your head, and you're just. We lost Cody. It's all right.
You guys are on a topic that I will just watch 5 times when I make the video.
Sorry.
So, anyways.
Just to catch up.
All right. Thank you very much for watching, y'all.